Good evening. Tonight, there is nothing you need to solve, nowhere you need to be, and no race you need to win. For the next little while, we are leaving behind the bright lights of the modern world. Imagine that the glow of your phone has disappeared. The distant sound of traffic slowly fades away. The humming of electricity no longer fills the air. Instead, you find yourself standing beneath the sky overflowing with stars, brighter than you may have ever seen. The year is somewhere around the 11th century, nearly 1,000 years ago. The air feels cool and fresh. A gentle breeze carries the scent of damp earth, burning firewood, and freshly cut hay. Somewhere nearby, an owl quietly calls into the darkness, while crickets perform the same peaceful song they have sung for thousands of years. There are no alarm clocks, no emails waiting to be answered, no endless notifications asking for your attention. Only the slow rhythm of nature. For most people living 1,000 years ago, the setting sun wasn't simply the end of the day. It was a signal. As daylight faded, the world itself began to slow down. Villages gradually became silent. Farm animals settled into their shelters. Children gathered close to their families. Wooden doors were carefully closed, not only to keep out the cold, but also to protect against wandering animals or unexpected visitors during the long night. Without electricity, darkness arrived completely. A single candle could only light a very small corner of a room. Oil lamps flickered gently, casting dancing shadows across rough stone walls and wooden beams. Every movement caused the flame to sway, creating soft patterns that seemed almost alive. Because light was precious, people learned not to waste it. Most families finished their work before sunset whenever possible. Once darkness covered the fields, there was very little reason to remain awake. Unlike us, they rarely argued with the night. They accepted it. Their bodies naturally followed the changing light, guided by the same sunrise and sunset that had directed human life for thousands of generations. Historians believe that many people during the Middle Ages often experienced something quite different from our modern 8-hour sleep. Instead of sleeping continuously through the night, many followed what researchers sometimes call segmented sleep. The evening would begin with what was known as the first sleep. After several peaceful hours, many people naturally woke for a short period during the middle of the night. There was no panic, no checking the time, no worrying about whether they would be tired tomorrow. This quiet waking period was considered completely ordinary. Some people whispered gentle prayers. Others added another log to the fire. Parents checked on sleeping children. A few simply sat quietly, listening to the crackling flames, while watching tiny sparks drift upward into the darkness. Outside, the stars slowly crossed the sky, completely unnoticed by anyone in a hurry. After perhaps an hour, sometimes a little longer, people simply returned to bed for what they called the second sleep. For them, the night unfolded gently, almost like two peaceful chapters, instead of one long, uninterrupted rest. The beds themselves were very different from the ones we know today. Soft memory foam mattresses did not exist. Most ordinary families slept on straw-filled mattresses resting upon simple wooden frames. The straw needed replacing from time to time because it gradually became flat or damp. For wealthier households, mattresses stuffed with feathers offered greater comfort, although these were considered valuable possessions. Blankets were often made from wool, thick enough to hold precious warmth during cold nights. Linen sheets, when available, felt surprisingly comfortable despite being much simpler than modern fabrics. Bedrooms were rarely private spaces. Entire families often shared a single room. Children slept beside parents. Grandparents might rest only a few feet away. In poorer homes, everyone stayed together, not only for comfort, but also because sharing body heat made winter nights far more bearable. As the fire slowly faded into glowing embers, the room filled with quiet breathing. The only sounds were the gentle crackle of wood, the distant wind outside, and the occasional rustling of straw beneath someone turning over in sleep. It was a slower world, a quieter world, and perhaps in some ways, a world where the night was allowed to remain exactly what nature intended it to be, a time for stillness. Take another slow breath. Imagine that the small fire beside the room has burned lower now. The orange flames that once danced brightly have settled into glowing embers, quietly warming the tiny home. Outside, the village has almost disappeared into darkness. There are no streetlights stretching across the roads, no glowing shop windows, no passing cars. Only the silver light of the moon gently washing over the rooftops. If you were standing outside this home 1,000 years ago, your eyes would slowly adjust to the darkness. At first, everything would seem hidden. But after a few moments, the shapes of trees, fences, and distant hills would begin to appear beneath the stars. The night was never truly silent. A soft breeze whispered through tall grass. Leaves gently brushed against one another. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked only once before settling down again. An owl glided almost silently above the fields, searching for its evening meal. These sounds were familiar, comforting even. People living 1,000 years ago knew the voices of the night in the same way many of us recognize the sounds of busy city streets today. Inside the cottage, most people had already entered their first sleep. Their breathing had become slow and steady. The warmth from the fireplace slowly spread through the room, mixing with the earthy scent of wood, wool blankets, and freshly harvested grain stored nearby. Life was simple. Every object inside the home had been made with care. A wooden stool, a rough table, clay bowls resting neatly on a shelf, iron cooking pots hanging beside the fireplace. Nothing was unnecessary. Every possession served a purpose. Modern homes often overflow with hundreds, sometimes thousands of objects. But in this quiet medieval home, every item carried real value. A hand-carved spoon might stay within a family for generations. A warm blanket represented months of careful work. Even a single candle was something to be used thoughtfully. As the hours passed, many sleepers naturally opened their eyes. Not because of an alarm, not because of stress, simply because that was how many human bodies rested before artificial lighting changed daily life. The room remained peaceful. No one rushed to fall asleep again. Instead, this gentle pause became part of the rhythm of the night. Some families quietly spoke together. Others remained completely silent. Many people believed these peaceful midnight hours were especially meaningful. It was during these calm moments that some offered quiet prayers, reflected on the previous day, or simply watched the fire slowly glow in the darkness. The world felt different after midnight, almost as if time itself had slowed. The stars seemed brighter. The air became cooler. Even the smallest sound carried farther across the sleeping countryside. In many places across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, people looked toward the night sky with wonder. Without city lights hiding the heavens, thousands upon thousands of stars filled the sky from horizon to horizon. The pale band of the Milky Way stretched overhead like a glowing river. For many people, these stars were more than beautiful. They were guides. Farmers watched the heavens to understand the changing seasons. Travelers followed familiar constellations across long journeys. Sailors trusted the stars to carry them safely across dark oceans. Long before modern maps and GPS, the night sky itself became one of humanity's oldest companions. Dreams also held special meaning. Many believed dreams could carry messages. Some thought they reflected worries hidden deep within the heart. Others believed they offered wisdom, reminders, or gentle guidance. Whether these beliefs were true or not, dreams were often remembered carefully and shared with family the following morning. Imagine waking softly in the middle of the night. The room is warm. The fire still glows faintly. Everyone around you sleeps peacefully. Outside, the moon hangs high above quiet fields covered in silver light. There is nowhere you need to hurry. No schedule waiting for you. No endless list of unfinished tasks. only the slow passing of time. Eventually, your eyelids begin to feel heavy once again. The warmth of your blanket wraps around you. The soft straw mattress settles beneath your weight. The familiar sounds of the countryside continue their gentle nighttime song. Little by little, you drift back into your second sleep. Beyond the walls of the cottage, the entire village rests beneath the stars. Tomorrow will bring another sunrise, another day of tending crops, another walk to the village well, another evening gathered around the fire. Life repeats in quiet rhythms, simple, steady, peaceful. And as the moon slowly makes its journey across the sky, the world continues sleeping, just as it has for countless generations before us. There is no rush, only the quiet comfort of another ancient night. If you are feeling comfortable now, allow your imagination to wander just a little farther. The little cottage behind you grows quieter with every passing moment. Inside, the family rests peacefully beneath wool blankets, while the last glowing embers softly fade into the ashes. Now step outside. Close the wooden door as gently as you can. Immediately, the cool night air surrounds you. The temperature has dropped since sunset. A gentle breeze brushes across the fields, carrying the fresh scent of grass, damp soil, and nearby forests. Above you, the stars shine with remarkable clarity. Without electric lights, the heavens appear almost endless, filled with countless tiny points of light stretching across the darkness. For someone living 1,000 years ago, this sky was completely ordinary. And yet, to modern eyes, it would feel almost magical. The village itself is asleep. Small cottages stand quietly beside narrow dirt paths. Wooden fences cast long, pale shadows beneath the moonlight. Some homes still have a faint orange glow escaping through tiny windows, where a fire has not yet completely gone out. Everything else remains still. You begin walking slowly along the path. There's no need to hurry. Every step produces a soft crunch beneath your feet. The night seems peaceful, but it also commands respect. After sunset, most people simply stayed indoors, not because every night was dangerous, but because darkness naturally limited what people could safely do. Without lanterns bright enough to illuminate long roads, even familiar paths could become difficult to follow. Travel usually waited until daylight. Merchants planned their journeys around the rising sun. Farmers finished their work before evening whenever possible. Children were called home long before darkness settled across the fields. The night belonged to rest. As you continue walking, you notice something interesting. Near the entrance of the village, a single watchman quietly keeps guard. His task is simple. He watches, he listens. He walks slowly from one end of the village to the other, making sure everything remains peaceful until morning. Many medieval communities depended on local watchmen rather than large police forces. Most nights passed without incident. The greatest responsibility of the watchman was simply being present. Sometimes he carried a lantern, sometimes only a wooden staff. Occasionally, he would quietly announce the passing hours, letting everyone know that the village remained safe. His footsteps become softer as he disappears into the darkness. Far beyond the last cottage, open fields stretch toward distant forests. The moonlight paints the landscape in shades of silver and gray. Wild animals move quietly through the trees. A fox slips silently between bushes. An owl circles overhead with effortless grace. Somewhere far away, perhaps a wolf calls into the night. The sound is distant, calm, part of the natural world. For people living 1,000 years ago, nature was not something visited on weekends. It surrounded everyday life. The changing seasons shaped every harvest. The weather determined every journey. The moon itself influenced how bright or dark the night would become. On nights when the full moon filled the sky, villagers could often walk short distances with surprising ease. On cloudy evenings, however, darkness became almost complete. Imagine reaching the edge of the forest. Tall oak trees rise silently before you. Their branches gently sway with the wind. Moonlight filters through the leaves, creating beautiful patterns across the ground. Everything feels peaceful. The forest is alive but never hurried. Leaves rustle softly. Tiny insects continue their endless evening songs. Somewhere nearby, water flows gently over smooth stones. A narrow stream reflects the stars like a moving mirror. You pause for a moment, simply listening. No engines, no distant airplanes, no electronic sounds, only the quiet music of nature. Perhaps this is why so many people throughout history felt deeply connected to the night. Without constant distractions, even silence seemed full of life. After a while, you slowly turn back toward the village. The cottages wait patiently beneath the stars. Thin trails of smoke drift lazily from a few chimneys. Inside each home, families continue sleeping peacefully, preparing for another day that will begin with the first gentle light of dawn. You quietly return to the little cottage. The wooden floor creaks softly beneath your feet. The fire has almost disappeared now, leaving only a warm red glow. You settle once again beneath the thick wool blanket. The pillow feels cool. The room feels safe. Outside, the wind continues its gentle song. Inside, every slow breath reminds you that the night still has many peaceful hours remaining, and somewhere beyond the horizon, the morning patiently waits, but not yet, for now. The ancient world remains asleep beneath a sky filled with endless stars. The night has grown even quieter now. Hours have passed without hurry. The stars still shine above the little village, but if you look carefully toward the eastern horizon, you may notice the faintest change. Not light. Not yet. Just the smallest hint that darkness will not last forever. For now, the world remains wrapped in the calm embrace of night. Inside the cottage, the fire has almost disappeared. Only a few glowing coals continue to release gentle warmth into the room. The air has become cooler. The wool blankets feel heavier and more comforting than they did only a few hours earlier. Everyone is still asleep. The silence is deep, peaceful, natural. There is something remarkably comforting about these final hours before sunrise. Even today, many people describe the moments before dawn as the quietest part of the entire day. 1,000 years ago, this feeling was even stronger. Without factories, highways, or electric machines, the world rested almost completely. Imagine opening your eyes for just a moment. You hear nothing except slow breathing from the people around you. A gentle breeze slips through a tiny opening in the wooden wall. Somewhere outside, leaves quietly brush against one another. Then, silence again. There's no pressure to wake, no phone vibrating beside the bed, no bright screen suddenly filling the room with blue light. Only darkness, only peace, only time moving exactly as it always has. Across the countryside, thousands of similar cottages rest beneath the same sky. Farmers, shepherds, millers, blacksmiths, weavers, children, grandparents. Entire families sleep through these final hours of the night, preparing for another day that will be shaped by the rising sun. Their lives are simple. Their routines rarely change. The seasons guide their work. Spring brings planting. Summer brings long days in the fields. Autumn rewards months of careful labor. Winter invites slower evenings beside warm fires. Every year follows the same gentle rhythm. Every sunrise begins another familiar chapter. Outside, the moon has slowly begun its journey toward the western sky. Its silver light grows softer as the first invisible signs of morning approach. A thin mist begins forming above the nearby fields. Tiny drops of moisture settle gently upon the grass. Each blade catches the faint light of the stars, creating countless little diamonds scattered across the landscape. The village remains asleep. Even the animals seem reluctant to disturb the quiet. A horse shifts gently inside its stable. A sheep breathes softly. Somewhere, a cat curls itself tighter against the remaining warmth of the barn. Nature itself seems to whisper rather than speak. Imagine walking slowly through the village one final time before dawn. The dirt road feels cool beneath your feet. Every cottage appears peaceful. Wooden doors remain closed. Windows stay dark. The scent of last night's firewood still lingers gently in the air. You pause beside the village well. The water below is perfectly still. Looking down, you see the stars reflected upon its surface. For a brief moment, it almost feels as though the sky exists both above you and beneath you. You continue walking. At the edge of the village, open fields stretch toward distant hills. The horizon slowly begins to soften. Dark blue becomes a lighter shade. Black slowly becomes deep gray. Morning is approaching with remarkable patience. There is no sudden change, only a slow transformation. This quiet arrival of dawn was something every person 1,000 years ago knew by heart. There were no clocks needed to announce the beginning of the day. Nature itself provided every signal. The air changed. The birds prepared to sing. The eastern sky slowly brightened. The world awakened little by little. And perhaps that gentle rhythm allowed people to begin each day with a calmer mind. Modern mornings often arrive with alarms, schedules, and endless responsibilities waiting before our feet even touch the floor. But here, 1,000 years in the past, morning arrives softly, respectfully, as if it understands that even the beginning of a new day should never disturb the peace of the night. Now, the very first bird offers a quiet song, just one. Then silence returns. A few moments later, another bird answers from a nearby tree. Soon, several more voices join together, creating one of humanity's oldest morning melodies. The chorus grows little by little, never rushed, never loud, only gentle. The darkness continues to fade. The stars begin disappearing one by one. The moon slowly loses its brightness. The outlines of cottages become clearer. Trees reveal their branches. Fields reveal their gentle waves of grass moving with the wind. Inside the cottage, someone quietly stirs beneath a blanket. Another person turns over, still resting peacefully. The day has not fully begun, but the night is gently saying goodbye. Take one last slow look around this sleeping village. Breathe in the cool morning air. Listen to the first birds welcoming another sunrise. Feel the peaceful stillness that has filled these ancient hours. For 1,000 years ago, mornings did not burst into life. They bloomed, slowly, quietly, beautifully. And somewhere beyond the hills, the first golden light of the sun is preparing to touch the earth once again. And now, the longest hours of the night have gently passed. The eastern horizon, once wrapped in deep shades of blue and black, slowly begins to glow with a soft ribbon of pale gold. It is not a dramatic sunrise. It arrives quietly, almost as if the world itself wishes to remain peaceful for just a little longer. The stars disappear one by one, not all at once, but patiently, like tiny candles being gently extinguished by the coming day. A cool morning mist rests across the fields, covering the grass in thousands of tiny drops of dew. Every blade catches the first rays of sunlight, sparkling like countless little crystals. The village is beginning to awaken, not with noise, but with life. A rooster calls somewhere beyond the nearest cottage. Its voice echoes gently across the quiet countryside. Moments later, another answers from farther away. The sound is familiar, comforting. It has welcomed the morning for generations beyond counting. Inside the cottage, someone slowly opens their eyes. There's no alarm clock, no buzzing phone, no flashing notifications demanding attention. Instead, the day begins exactly as nature intended. A slow breath, a quiet stretch, the warmth of a wool blanket, the faint smell of yesterday's firewood still lingering in the air. Outside, birds now fill the trees with gentle songs. Small sparrows hop between wooden fences. Swallows glide effortlessly through the cool morning air. A pair of doves settle quietly upon the roof of a nearby barn. The village itself seems to breathe awake. One cottage opens its wooden door, then another. Thin trails of smoke begin rising from stone chimneys as morning fires are carefully lit. Someone carries fresh water from the village well. Another quietly sweeps the earth outside their doorway. Children still sleep for a little while longer, wrapped warmly beneath heavy blankets, unaware that another peaceful day has already begun. The pace remains slow. There's no rush. The people of this little village understand something that modern life often forgets. Not every moment must be filled. Not every silence must be interrupted. Sometimes, simply listening to the morning is enough. Imagine standing once more at the edge of the village. The golden sunlight slowly reaches the fields before you. The mist begins to lift. The distant forest, once hidden in darkness, now reveals every tree in gentle morning light. A narrow stream quietly reflects the sky. Its water flows just as it did yesterday, just as it will tomorrow, just as it has for countless centuries. You take one final look around. The cottages, the fields, the winding dirt roads, the peaceful animals beginning another ordinary day. Nothing here is extraordinary. And perhaps that is exactly what makes it beautiful. History is often remembered through great kings, mighty armies, and famous battles. But most people who lived 1,000 years ago never met a king. They never stood upon a battlefield. They simply lived. They worked beneath the sun, shared meals with their families, laughed together around warm fires, watched the stars appear each evening, and rested peacefully when darkness returned. Their names have been forgotten by history, yet their quiet lives became the foundation upon which future generations would build the world we know today. As the morning grows brighter, our journey through this ancient village gently comes to an end. The sounds of birds blend softly with the whisper of the wind. The warmth of the rising sun slowly replaces the coolness of the night. Take one last slow breath. Imagine the peaceful rhythm of this forgotten world remaining with you. A world without hurried schedules, without glowing screens, without endless distractions. Only sunrise, sunset, the changing seasons, and the quiet comfort of another night waiting patiently beyond the horizon. Thank you for walking through history with me. Until our next quiet journey, may your evening be peaceful, may your thoughts grow lighter, and may you find the same calm beneath tonight's sky that people found beneath these very stars 1,000 years ago. Good night.